On Labor Day, here in Orlando, Florida, the last thing on anybody's mind was hunkering down for a hurricane. Sure, it was the thick of hurricane season, and sure, we'd all heard on the news how Texas had gotten a smackdown from a hurricane named Harvey. But we were grilling burgers and chasing birds up trees. Labor Day. We weren't thinking about a storm brewing on the horizon. But there was one. On August 27, a non-tropical disturbance formed west of Guyana, Africa, and continued west through the Cape Verde Islands west of the African coast. By the time I was grilling a burger on Labor Day, it had grown into a Category 5 hurricane with winds in excess of 185 miles per hour. They named it Irma, and she was headed for us. At first, nobody took the threat seriously. Those of us who were living in Orlando a year ago remembered all the hoopla about Hurricane Matthew all too well for that.
This moves 20 miles to the west.
It will catch you unawares.
And you and everyone you know are dead. You can't survive it.
Can't think of anybody I'd rather ride it out with.
You and everyone you know are dead.
I'll die with you.
Yeah!
And your kids die too.
But now it's time to assess the damage. Oh, look! Part of a branch fell off of that tree. Now that's something to pine about. Look at my bike. Why, the wind blew the cover right off of it and wrapped it around that tree.
To surviving with nothing broken.
Hey, man. To surviving with nothing broken. But the media was insistent that there really was a threat this time. Yeah, this looks familiar. Moving the table and chairs and patio stuff. And the barbecue over here. Everything inside in preparation for, that's right, Irma. Taking the patio furniture inside wasn't the first step. I'd already been shopping for emergency supplies with my neighbor the day before. This, however, was an important step too. I'll do something else to the secret room somewhere else, I think, but the patio was taken care of, but there was something of even greater concern to me that needed to be taken care of as well. Okay, well, this is where I usually park my bike, but I can see a nut being really well here, so I can't exactly leave it out there, but I do think I know what I'm going to do with it. That's right. I drove it to Universal Studios where I work, headed for the safety of the multi-level parking structure. Alright, well, my motorcycle is secure in the motorcycle section of Jurassic Park, I figured this parking structure is probably the safest place that you could get, so that's where the bike's gonna stay.
You are in the direct depart section, rows 200 through 205, going down. The doors are closing. Please stand clear.
On the bottom floor was the bus loop, where I could catch a bus that would stop right in front of my complex. I just love it. The plan comes together. By Saturday morning, the images coming over the news left very little doubt that this monster storm was coming for us. Irma had come out of the east, crossing the Atlantic Ocean from the coast of Africa, arriving in the Caribbean Sea as a gigantic, furious Category 5 hurricane. It made landfall in the Virgin Islands, severely damaging 99% of the structures on St. Martin. Then it moved on to Puerto Rico, striking San Juan directly before heading for the coast of Cuba. In a very short shift, we had secured all boating operations at Universal Studios where I work, including mooring all of our yachts underneath the various bridges along the waterway. Back at home, there was one more problem to batten down. Inside or outside? Or outside? Or or inside. My cat Beach Bum is an indoor-outdoor kitty. But lately, he's learned the bad habit of running just far enough away as to not be picked up and captured when he doesn't feel like coming inside. Inside. Okay, well, since we have a hurricane on the horizon, I want to bum me up, and I don't want him running away like he's been doing. So, today we have him in his harness with a leash. And he's not too happy about it, are you? But he can go so far before it gets pulled. It's a good boy, Bummy. That's a good boy. See if we can walk a little ways with him. Now, they say it's possible to train a cat to walk on a leash. Nobody ever said it was possible to teach Beach Bum to walk on the end of a leash. He is one stubborn kitty. No, I don't want to go that way. I think I just want to go back inside. I hate this thing. Oh, it's a good boy. He's a good boy. Come on. Then again, he isn't exactly a malleable kitten anymore. He doesn't seem to understand what the leash is for, or what I want him to do. He knows it's restraining him almost like a bigger opponent might, and you can see his response. Play dead. Maybe then whatever is holding him back will let down its guard and he can dash away. Interesting study, but not a lot of help. On the other hand, at least he isn't running away right now. That might be useful. I wish he would quit giving me that cut this out because I know where you sleep look, though. Come on, baby, come on. Come on, sweetie. No? Well, I guess as you can see, the first rainfall is coming down from Hurricane Irma, which is right now about 100 miles to the south. But you can see that the rain and the wind is already starting to pick up. You go over here where you can get a better view. Yeah, you start to see the trees moving just a little bit, and a ton of rain. It has actually been raining since daylight, actually. So that's not going to stop. It's just going to keep doing that. So I've got all the patio furniture inside. Of course, you saw that, and the motorcycle is secured over at Universal Studios. God bless you. Thank you. But now it's time for other preparations. So, for that, here I have my bag of goodies. So, right there. Alright, now in our little bag here, this is where I usually store all of my camping lanterns. There we go. And I do believe I have 3 of these. And of course, all of the batteries stored in here. Now, other essentials that I keep in here, just in case I get stuck someplace, I've got light, but I've also got entertainment. People forget that they're not going to be playing games on their iPads or all the rest of those devices that you're used to using because there's no electricity. Therefore, you can entertain yourself for hours with a deck of cards. Also, don't forget matches. When I'm not using these, I take the batteries out of them, store them in a plastic bag, never leave them in the actual lantern itself. That way they'll last almost forever, and when you do run across an emergency, you'll actually have light. So also on the table aside from my lamp, I have a variety of flashlights. Now these particular flashlights are they're LED ones. That means they're really bright. They also don't use a lot of power. My best flashlight of all, though, is this one. This one is nice and bright, but it never needs power. Dropped it here. It never needs power, because watch. It has its own generator inside. Nice. Here in Florida, there's almost no natural gas cooking. Natural electricity is used for everything. So when you lose power, you don't just lose the light, you lose your ability to cook as well. That's where I came up with this nifty little device. I like to call this the hobo stove. It's just basically a large can that you notice I've drilled holes in the top of. Now with that, I just used some of this, what we used to call canned heat. Basically it's a carafe warmer. You just unscrew the top of it here and light the wick, and it fits right down inside here. So your flame would be right in there. You put your pan right on top of it. The holes, of course, get air inside. During the brunt of the storm, when there's no power and you get hungry, you can actually cook with this. Since this storm is supposed to be really hit us in Orlando the hardest tonight, this stove will come in handy tomorrow because I really don't like cold coffee. Alright, well, I'm here to get to talk about things that can be eaten during the hurricane, cold, right out of the can. Canned fruit, peanut butter. Definitely the student and the 10-year-old came out of me when I saw these large cans of SpaghettiOs. Texas-made Wolf brand chili. Family-size potato chips. So that's just a few suggestions of food to eat that does not need to be refrigerated. But here's another little trick that I want to share with you. as far as losing power in your refrigerator and losing all of your food. There's a way to prevent it, or at least keep things cold as long as possible. First of all, along with the food, you'll notice these two large bowls. I filled these full of water and froze them into big solid ice blocks. Both of them. Along with that, I also filled this Coke bottle full of water, froze it as well. Okay. Now, no, I'm not throwing a party where I need a lot of ice. If I lose power to the refrigerator, I will move one of those ice blocks down to the main refrigerator compartment, probably along with the bottle of water. The other one will just leave right up in here because it's a smaller space. These refrigerators, modern refrigerators today, have a wonderful seal. They're not going to warm up if you keep them closed. And believe it or not, those ice blocks will keep that stuff cold for a long, long time. So, I might not even get to take a single bite of any of this stuff. And now it's time for really stupid things to do in a hurricane. Cowabunga! Yep, that was pretty stupid, all right. Okay, well now it's time to discuss one final piece of essential hurricane ride-out supply. Keep calm and drink wine. Well, so far we lost power, but only for a minute, not even a full minute, for about 30 seconds. So we've gotten lucky so far. The winds are up about 70 miles an hour. It's furious outside, but we haven't lost power so far. What's this? Huh? I wonder what this does. Oh, crap. It was the witching hour, the midnight hour, 12 o'clock. That meant it was Monday, September 11th, 911, and the real show was underway. The news was still confused. Yesterday, before Irma reached Cuba, CNN reported that the storm would make an abrupt turn and tear right through the center of the state. Bad news for us here in Orlando. Then they changed their mind while Irma stalled on the coast of Cuba and said she would track through the Florida Keys and skim the East Coast. Still not too cherry for us, but not nearly as bad as before. Then, when Irma started to move, they said she would hug the West Coast and put the smackdown on Tampa. But she did none of that. She came ashore at Fort Myers and came straight up the state and passed right over us. CNN doesn't like being wrong, so they reported events in Tampa and ignored everyone else. Of course, at 4 a.m. with the winds howling outside, it didn't really matter. Well, it's about 4:30 a.m. here in Orlando, Florida. Hurricane Irma, Monday. It's actually 9/11. I don't know. That's just so weird. Anyway, yeah, the hurricane is finally hitting us with a lot of force. The rain seems to have stopped, but the wind is just roaring outside. And it's also accompanied by the sound of frogs bleating. But you can see the trees half bent over in the dark. It's, like I said, pitch dark, but really getting the brunt of it. I don't know how bad things are. I've been trying to watch it on the news, but all the news shows, they just want to talk about Miami and Tampa. And I think you can hear some meowing going on. That's because the crazy cat, he's begging to go outside. I think he's finally going to give up and go in and use his cat box, though. There's always emergencies to deal with in a major disaster, aren't there? Oh, dear. We'll take a look at what everything looks like once the sun's up, but yeah, sleeping was impossible. Okay, well, like I said, weather's not improving much outside. It's 5 now, so, but it is time to open the emergency supplies. Yeah, that's right. I've had the family size, the party size potato chips here as emergency supplies. There hasn't been that much of an emergency. You notice there's still power and a light in here, but wow, here we go. Lay's potato chips and what else? Well, cat food, but that was for the cat. And yeah, some chicken. Only during a hurricane would you want Lay's potato chips and fried chicken at 5:30 in the morning while everything roars outside. Well, it's first light, and beach bum was driving me crazy, so we decided to come out to see what it's like out here. Yep. continued to blow all throughout the day. Debris from the storm was everywhere, and damage was extensive. Yeah, that's pretty serious. Yeah. Wow. Look at that, it broke that limb right off. But finally the wind subsided. And the day ended with a beautiful sunset, as if nothing had happened at all. But it had. First thing the next morning, it was time to walk down to Universal and pick up my motorcycle and assess the damage along the way. This is certainly making the walk to Universal fun. Wow, what a mess. Maybe somebody cut that. Oh, look at that. That's with a tree landed on this poor guy's car. Bummer. Well, good thing the school's closed. Look at the parking lot. It's a total little lake now. Well, would you look at this? Burger King is all the way over there across the street. But its sign in the wind flew all the way here. Wow. That's really something. And of course, here's a testament to the idea that newspapers are dead. Okay, on to Universal Studios. Oh my gosh, look at the billboard advertising it. And here we go. Finally here to pick up my bike, which is just fine. The cover's even where I left it. Fared better, a lot better than if I'd left it at home, that's for sure. And of course, you know, a day after the hurricane is over, it's literally back to normal. Blue skies, as if there'd never been a storm. Barbecue's lit. Food ready to be grilled. Beach bum is playing in the yard as if nothing ever happened. It's almost as if, well, it hadn't happened at all. But it did happen. We all survived, my gosh, a Category 2 hurricane that hit here in Orlando. And it was scary for a moment and things got destroyed, but we all came through it fine. And we're all left with a sense of wonder about nature. How it can be so violent and cruel one day, and so kind the next. Wow. All I can say is, God bless you all.